Been singing God Bless America. It's 10 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. It is a Monday morning, the second day of May. And I was telling the KLYN people as I started, a day that will live on in infamy. Las Vegas, New Mexico. We are getting a lot of smoke, and we're getting reports of fire, especially on the west edge, way down on the west border of Las Vegas, New Mexico. Even hearing some reports about some stuff at Luna area, the Camp Luna area, that I'm not going to repeat until I get some verified information, but it is verified that there is people that are being, as of 4 o'clock this morning, that were evacuating from the Cinder Road and from Camp Luna, that they were going door to door, knocking on their doors and telling them to get out. So that's the western border of our city. And we're here in studio. We're also, of course, in studio at 2207 7th Street. And, hey, I don't know. We're offering prayer. We're offering, a place. I don't know. There's a lot of places that you can eat. There's a lot of places you can get water. I'm sure that Memorial Middle School is very active right now. Anyway, there's resources that are out there, and everybody doing their little part. That's what it is all about. Just everybody doing their little part. So what we are going to do this morning is we're going to stay on schedule up to a point and see how, if we have to break into our program, our teaching portion of the program, we will. So let me let you know that it's 55 degrees here in Las Vegas. Humidity is at 29%. Right now, we have a 24-mile-an-hour wind, and let me see what the direction of the wind. Now, this is more important than ever, the direction of the wind. Let's see. Wind is from the west right now. So from the west, meaning that it's blowing to the east. So that would be headed right into Las Vegas. Anyway, 22-mile-an-hour. Let's see. Barometric pressure is 29.53 inches. And holding steady. Days, things that we're seeing here in Las Vegas that we never expected that we would see. So, like I say, if anybody has anything, verified stuff that you think that I should be telling everybody about, make sure that it's true first, and then give us a call at 454-9527. I got a call, and I know there's some people out there who, this isn't effective. Well, let's say I have a prayer line open for you right now till 8 o'clock in the morning at 505-425-3717. Let me put that up on the screen for you, and you can see the number. 505-425-3717 is the number. And let me check something else, because when I was getting ready to leave the house this morning, there was a call at 4:35, and that was the announcement from whoever this comes from, somebody in the government, about these evacuation notices that we are getting. I think the last thing that we need is sensationalism right now, my brothers and sisters. We do not need to be freaking out. This is a test of our faith, really, is what it is. So, faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word. So we are in the word, and hopefully this is beneficial to your spirit, man, today. Live here at 2207 7th Street. 2 Kings chapter 15. We're going through the Bible verse by verse, chapter by chapter, and here we find ourselves this morning, this Monday, the second day of May 2022, in the 15th chapter, looking at the reign of Azariah. Now, let me say something about Azariah. Azariah has another name in the Bible. Uzziah? You're going to get. We're going to be in Isaiah one of these days, and this Azariah slash Uzziah guy was a friend of the prophet Isaiah. Let's see how we could do this. Well, I don't have the name. Let's see, Azariah. Let's see if I can pull up the name Uzziah. Because what isn't it? Well, let's just go to Isaiah chapter 3, I believe. I might be off on that one a little bit. Let's go to the major prophets. There you are. Let's go to chapter 3. Maybe it's chapter 5. Darn. Chapter 6. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting on a throne. Now, I know this is Isaiah chapter 6, and I know that it's referencing King Uzziah. Same guy as we are looking at in the 15th chapter of 2 Kings. In the 27th year of Jeroboam, king of Israel, Azariah, the son of Amaziah, king of Judah, became king. He was 16 years old when he became king, and he reigned 52 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jechaliah of Jerusalem. And he did, what was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his father Amaziah had done. And I know there's a comma there, but we're going to, not bite off too much more than what we can chew this morning, little pieces at a time. So once again, Azariah, Uzziah, same guys. And I know I'm not pronouncing the Uzziah guy right, but I'm probably not pronouncing Azariah either correctly. 16 years old when he became king. He reigned 52 years in Jerusalem. That is a long time. We have not seen very many of these kings that are sitting on the throne, either on the north or the southern kingdom, for this long. Some of them only weeks. But this young king, now as he starts, is going to last all the way till he's 68 years old, from 16 to 68. His mother's name was Jechaliah. He did what was right in the sight of the Lord Yahweh, according to all that his father Amaziah had done, except that the high places were not removed. How many times have we looked at the high places? How many times has this been a factor and almost a barometer for not only the kings, but for God's covenant people? He did what was right, except the high places were not removed. And I know we've talked about this before, even when we were in Samuel, we talked about the high places. But what were the high places? The high places were it was a place of idolatry. The high places were where immorality was acted out. So that is where these there were places that altars were constructed, and we're going to get in, if not today, tomorrow. We're going to get into a very interesting story about altars. I always try to stay 2-3 chapters ahead. And there's a story that we're going to get into this week talking about altars that, I read that and I said, you are kidding me. Really? Well, that's, we're getting closer to the end of the lineage of the kings, especially up in the north. So hang on with us here. Azariah does what is right in the sight of the Lord, except that the high places. Wait, my daughter just texted me. Sorry for the late message, but they just told us to evacuate. I'm taking my things to Albuquerque with family, so I won't be able to go to work today. Sorry for the inconvenience. So it looks like, okay, I'm going to have to call them. I don't know how much longer. Oh, from Julian. Oh, now she tells me this is somebody else. Okay. Okay. I thought they were. There. See how stuff happens? See how stuff happens. So Amaziah did what was right, except now it doesn't tell us that Amaziah was one who took part of the idolatry that was going in the high places, but for some reason or another, and I believe that this is a signal of authority. This dude's a good dude. He's got some good people, as we know already, some good people on his side. But the high places were not removed. Now, what I'm always trying to do when I'm always trying to read the Bible is to understand the context of what it's talking about. You know, there's a couple of different areas of context that you look at. One of them is historical context, to where you try to understand what is it that they were going through in that time. Because what we do many times is we just put our own culture and our own things that are going on in our own situation over these times, and we can't interpret the scriptures fully. Don't go. Listen to me first before you. We have to understand the historical context. You got to try to understand the mindset, and that's where history comes in. The mindset of these people. What were they going? They didn't have, they didn't have the technological things that we have. They didn't have transportation like we had. So we try to understand the historical, but there's many times there is a personal. So I can look at the high places, and as I've told you before, they took us when we were in Israel. My wife and I were on a tour with Jonathan Kahn, and with the editor of WorldNet Daily, and they took us to a lot of places. We were there for over a week in Israel, and they took us to one of the high places. They took us out into the forest, and up there, and there was an altar that they had built, and what was left of it, and that was one of the places to where they took us to another place to where different things happen, New Testament and Old Testament locations. Very, very, very interesting. And understanding the history, understanding how these people, what were they going through, and trying to get it. But then there's that personal application. And I think that it is okay for us to say, what are our high places? Are there high places? Do we have high places in America? Do we have these high? And I bet you everybody said, yes, we do. Is it possible that here, even in Las Vegas, there are the switching from the old to the new, all the way to the now? Are there high places in Las Vegas? And probably a lot of people. Oh yeah, I know where they are at. The question has to be, are there high places in my life? Are there places that we have allowed and we have not torn them down? And that was the problem in the lives of these kings, is that many of them, the high places were not removed. We can do a search on that phrase, and let's see if we get any hits or not on that. I got 4 places right there in Kings 15. So it's at 2 Chronicles where we're going to be at one of these days. So you say, well, that's not a lot of hits. but I think that we probably the wording isn't the exact wherever we go, but if we would look at just maybe high places alone, it would give us. But once again, what are the high places, and can we have high places? Now we just get high places alone, and we're going to get, let's see, this is a good thing about 71 verses in the Old Testament to where they talk about the high places. So that's why we're talking about them. Except that the high places were not removed, the people still sacrificed and burned incense on the high places. So this was not this was not a covenantal thing that they were doing. They were worshiping. They had this dual. We serve God over here, and actually these were demons that they were, where the people sacrificed and burned incense too. So just something that we see, that we come across, that we have come across before. We will still come across them. As you noticed, when we just talked about the high places throughout the rest of the Old Testament, it's going to talk about the high places. Verse 5 says, "Then the Lord struck the king." That's an interesting thing that we're going to be taking up after our weather report. So, 55 degrees is our current temperature. A little warm for this early in the morning. Here's your updated weather report for today. Sunny with areas of smoke, high around 75 degrees. West-southwest wind, 19 to 25 with gusts up to 35 miles per hour. So, kind of notice the direction of that wind, west-southwest. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high around 77. South-southwest wind, 10 to 30, gusts up to 41. And on Wednesday, mostly sunny, high around 69. West wind, 14 to 25, with gusts up to 36 miles per hour. So that wind looks like it's going to be coming out of the west. Also, to let you all know, is that prayer line is open till 8 o'clock. You need prayer, you need somebody just to kind of settle you down a little bit. 505-425-3717. It's going to be a little difficult this morning to keep my full concentration on our study that's here with all the things that are going on. But I'll try not to say anything premature like I did before the 6:30 break. 2 Kings 15:5, talking about Amaziah, who reigned for, 53 years, I believe, 52 years or so that he reigned over the southern kingdom. Then the Lord struck the king so that he was a leper until the day of his death. The funny thing here for me is in 2 Kings, the writer doesn't give us much information on verse 5. It tells us that the Lord struck Amaziah and that he was a leper till the day of his death. So he dwelt in an isolated house, and Jotham the king's son was over the royal house judging the people of the land. We have to go to the book of Chronicles to be able, hold on a second. Is this important? Okay. Okay. From Mills? Okay. Bueno. Okay. Okay. Thanks. So Shelby's saying that evacuation is going on around Mills Avenue right now, which is, so it looks like if it's beyond the Camp Luna area, and maybe even in his area, they're evacuating. So, I don't know. We'll see. Here's something, and I'm sorry for the people that are out of town, maybe that are just listening to the to the teaching alone, okay? Um, and not as concerned with these things that are going on. But there you go, Joe. See, Joe and Flo, Joe's got it going on. Man, that used to be one of my customers, Joe. I know what you're talking about. Here's another thing that I need to consider when it comes down to the radio station is that our tower site is on the Creston, which is west of town. So I don't know whether it's in danger or not, but all of our equipment that we have, our broadcast equipment, is right behind the state hospital up on the I shouldn't even say this. Oh my God, on the high place, on the high place behind the state hospital. So that's where our tower is at. Not only that, that's where a lot of our internet comes from, I believe. But hey, as long as we can do it, we're going to do it. Okay? So, the Lord struck the king. Andrea, I'm going to be at your house, Andrea. You better straighten out a room over there someplace. My wife and I might show up with a trailer load or something. The Lord struck the king so that he was a leper until the day of his death. What happened there? Well, we have to go to Second Chronicles, and we're not going to go there, but I am going to give you, I think, chapter 26. What had happened was that Uzziah / Amaziah, toward the end of his life, decided one day that he was going to offer incense in the holy place. He was going to take the priest's job. And because he was going to take the priest's job, the Lord struck him. It's kind of interesting. If you go to Second Chronicles chapter 26 and find out where it talks about this. So don't confuse the Amaziah Uzziah thing. Same guy. So toward the end of his life, as king, he decided. See, there was a distinction between the king and the priest. The kings were not of the tribe of Levi. Maybe there was a king or so. If they were from the true lineage of David, they were not of the tribe of Levi, because David was of the tribe of Judah. And I know that in the north we have all kinds of different kings from all kinds of different tribes. So I can't tell you whether any of those kings could trace their lineage all the way back to Levi or not. But the king had his call from God and his realm of authority, and the priest had his realm of authority. So they crossed up, and what Uzziah did is Uzziah decided he was going to, he was a good king, he was a great king, but maybe it went to his head. Maybe he decided that he was going to be more than just a king, and that because there was an anointing upon his life, that he figured that he could actually do what the kings were doing. The priests were doing. And I don't know what the condition of the priesthood was. It would be very interesting to find out, if we could, one of these days from the scripture, why he decided to do this. Was it because the priests weren't offering? Or it doesn't seem like that, because it seemed, well, let's just go there. Let's go to just a few verses in 2 Chronicles 26:16 says, But when he was strong, his heart was lifted up to his destruction, for he transgressed against the Lord his God by entering the temple of the Lord to burn incense on the altar of incense. So Azariah the priest went in after him. With him were 80 priests of the Lord, valiant men. So to me, this doesn't mean that there was a real lack in authority of the priestly class, but that they had their place and the king had his place, and there was that distinction that was being drawn. And what he did is he crossed over. The Lord struck him with leprosy. Some of the commentary says this happened about the last 2 years of his life. What we do know is that he was a leper until the day of his death, so he dwelt in an isolated house. You know how they got lepers and they put in a leper colony. Instead of putting the king in the leper colony, they had a segregated house just for him, and his son, Jotham, was over the royal house judging the people of the land. So, you had kind of like a king and a vice king in Amaziah and his son Jotham. And because Amaziah could not perform most of his duties, his son, who was going to take over for him when he passed away, was doing a lot of the work. Now, the rest of the acts of Amaziah and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah? So Azariah rested with his fathers. They buried him with his fathers in the city of David. Then Jotham, his son, reigned in his place. And, like I tell you, 2 Kings doesn't give us a lot of information about Amaziah / Uzziah. So you pick up more about it from other places, which is, it's not uncommon with the Bible, to where there's little pieces here and little pieces there. And when you put the pieces together, you are able to see the bigger picture, not only theologically, but also sometimes historically. And here's one of the examples that we use. In the 38th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Zechariah the son of Jeroboam reigned over Israel in Samaria 6 months. So now what we're going to be looking at, I want to let you know prayer line is open. You need prayer this morning. That's not the right number, but that is 505-425-3717 is prayer line till 8 o'clock this morning. And I know there's a lot of people that need prayer. If you have Facebook and you've been following a lot of Las Vegas people, there's more talk about prayer over the last 2 weeks than there has ever been in all the years that I've been here. People that I didn't even expect to say anything are saying, pray, pray, pray. In fact, what I should be doing is I should be teaching about prayer, is what I should be doing, just to keep these people, kind of give them. In the 38th year of Azariah, king of Judah, okay, we know that he was 16 when he came, and he reigned 52 years. So it's in his 38th year that Zechariah, and what we're going to be looking at for the rest of the chapter until we get to the bottom, are kings in the north. Zechariah is one of them. This is not Zechariah the prophet that we know that has a book named after him. In the 38th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Zechariah the son of Jeroboam reigned over Israel in Samaria 6 months. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord as his fathers had done. Don't confuse this with the southern kingdom, which we also call Judah. He did not depart from the sins of Jeroboam, the sons of Nebat, who had made sins. So the golden calves, they were still around. They still had them there. All the idolatry. And along with the idolatry always comes immorality right along with it. They're like twins. Idolatry and immorality, boom. Then Shallum, the son of Jabesh, conspired against him and struck and killed him in front of the people, and he reigned in his place. So, we got the mafia running. We got what do they call those guys in Mexico? The drug lords that are over there bumping off people left and right, and I don't like you, so I'm taking. So, Azariah, okay, is king in Judah. Zechariah takes the throne in Samaria, and he doesn't even last a year. He did evil in the sight of the Lord, as his fathers had done. He did not depart from the sins. Then Shallum, the son of Jabesh, decided he could do a better job. Verse 10 doesn't say the better job. I added that along with him. But Shallum, I mean, you see weakness, and you know this is the way the cartels work. That's what I was thinking of. That's the word. The cartels. They oh man, this guy's weak. Take him out. Let's go. Shallum, the son of Jabesh, conspired against him and struck and killed him in front of the people and reigned in his place. Now the rest of the acts of Zechariah, indeed, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. This was the Lord which he spoke to Jehu, saying, Your son shall sit on the throne of Israel to the 4th generation, and so it was. So, without having solid information, my guess is that Zechariah was the 4th generation after Jehu, and that was the promise that God had given Jehu. Remember Jehu? Jehu was the one who took Jezebel out. And didn't he take Ahab out also? Or some of the other kings that were there? And he was king for a while. Your son shall sit on the throne of Israel to the 4th generation, and so it was. Shallum, what did I say his name was? Shallum, the son of Jabesh, became king in the 39th year of Uzziah, king of Judah, and he reigned a full month in Samaria. For Menahem, the son of Gadai, went up from Tirzah, came to Samaria, struck Shallum, the son of Jabesh, in Samaria, and killed him, and reigned in his place. Man, spin the wheel. Let's find out who's next. So, Zechariah is taken out by Shallum after 6 months. Shallum only lasts a month. And then Menahem, the son of Gadai, went up from Tisra. Tisra was the old capital of Samaria. Came to Samaria, the present capital, struck Shallum, the son of Jabesh, in Samaria, killed him, and he reigned in his place. Now the rest of the acts of Shallum and the conspiracy which he led, indeed they are written in the books of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. Then from Tirzah, Menahem attacked Tifsha, all who were there, and its territory, because they did not surrender. Therefore he attacked it, and all the women there who were with child he ripped open. So there was parts of Israel who said, no, we don't like this Menahem guy. We were more with the Shallum crowd, and we didn't like the elections, so we're not going to go with it. And he says, okay, I'll show you guys who's the boss. Brutal. This is brutal stuff. This is crazy stuff. I know it is. This is the Bible? I think, yeah, well, you thought the Bible was just, some little do-good book. It's not. And I really like how the Bible tells it the way it is. For example, take the life of Abraham or Jacob or any one of these guys. It doesn't whitewash anything. In the 39th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Menahem, the son of Gadai, became king over Israel. He reigned 10 years in Samaria. 10 years, boy, that's an eternity compared to some of these other kings. He did evil in the sight of the Lord Yahweh. He did not depart all his days from the sin of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel sin. So that root that had been brought in of idolatry and iniquity and immorality that had been brought in by Jeroboam is still bearing bad seed. I'm not even going to say fruit because it's not fruit, it's poison. That poisonous a root is still bringing death and destruction. He did evil in the sight of the Lord. He did not depart all the days of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel sin. Pul, the king of Assyria, came against the land. And Menahem gave Pul 1,000 talents of silver. that his hand might be with him to strengthen the kingdom under his control. So the Assyrians come against him, and he says, hey, what is it going to cost for you guys to leave me alone? Help me out. Let's I'll kind of be a vassal state. And Menahem exacted the money from Israel, from all the very wealthy, from each man 50 shekels of silver to give the king of Assyria. So the king of Assyria turned back and did not stay there in the land. Paid them off with 1,000 talents. And the rich guys, the tax came upon them, and they had to pay 50 shekels each. Now the rest of the acts of Menahem and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? So Menahem rested with his fathers. Then Pekahiah his son reigned in his place. And the revolving door keeps on going around. In the 50th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Pekahiah, the son of Menahem, became king over Israel in Samaria and reigned 2 years. So at least Menahem, was able to transfer it over to his son after his 10 years, but his son only lasted 2 years. He did evil in the sight of the Lord. He did not depart from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who had made Israel sin. Now keep in the back of the mind that the Lord, when he made covenant with Israel, said that one of these days that he would bring judgment on the land. We have to realize the extent of God's mercy. The umbrella of mercy is still over the northern kingdom, but that's not going to last forever. And what it'll do is it will start a whole new history in Israel. Then Pekah, the son of Remaliah, an officer of his, conspired against him and killed him in Samaria. So Menahem's son, after 2 years, one of the soldiers says, hey, let's get rid of this guy. It's kind of the wave, Let's just take care of business. In the citadel of the king's house, along with Argob and Ari, that guy, and with him were 50 men of Gilead. He killed them and reigned in his place. So this guy Pekah conspired against what's the name of the guy? Menahem's son, the king, the 50th year, the Pekahiah. So we have Pekah and Pekahiah. An officer conspired against him, killed him in Samaria and his citadel, the king's house, along with Argob, and with him were 50 men, killed him. The rest of the acts of Pekahiah and all that he did indeed are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. So just another door that opens and closes. In the 52nd year of Azariah, king of Judah. Now, notice that Azariah, okay, he's going to be there for 50 some odd years, and all of this change is going on the north of him. All of these kings are coming and going and killing each other off, and assassinations and plots and all kinds of stuff. In the 52nd year of Azariah, king of Judah, Pekah the son of Remaliah became king over Israel in Samaria, and he reigned 20 years. He did evil in the sight of Yahweh. He did not depart from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who had made Israel sin. In the days of Pekah, king of Israel, Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, came and took Ijon, Abel, Beth-Maacah, all these lands, Jaonah, Kadesh, Hazor, Gilead, and Galilee, all the land of Naphtali, and he carried them captive to Assyria. So now, here's what happened. The captivity begins in Samaria. Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and he came and he takes all these. Now let's go to the map real quick, and we can see some of these places Don't forget the places that we're more familiar with would be the land of Naphtali and Galilee. There you are here. Here is the area of Galilee. Okay? Here is Naphtali. So it's the northern part. So what the Assyrian does is he comes and takes a lot of these places and displaces the people. And what has happened is that the captivity has started. In the days, verse 29, of Pekah, king of Israel, okay, he takes all these places. He carried them captive to Assyria. This is where many people kind of get confused about the lost 10 tribes, because what's going to happen is that the whole northern kingdom is going to go into captivity first. And people say, well, they just got assimilated and they lost and they never came back. Then Hoshea, the son of Elah, led a conspiracy against Pekah, the son of Remaliah, and struck and killed him. So he reigned in his place in the 20th year of Jotham, the king of Uzziah. Now the rest of the acts of Pekah and all that he did indeed are written in the books of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. So those are just things that are going on up and down. Now, let's go down to the north as we finish off this chapter. And what I'll probably do is finish off this chapter this morning up until 7 o'clock. And then I got to find out what's going on outside. In the second year of Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, Jotham, the son of Uzziah, king of Judah, began to reign. Okay, notice how they're calling him here Uzziah instead of, what was his name, Athaliah? Same guy. Jotham, father, Uzziah, is the king that's been on the throne for 50-some years. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jerusha, the daughter of Zadok. He did what was right in the sight of the Lord, and he did according to all that his father Uzziah had done. However, the high places were not removed. I think we've talked about that enough without repeating ourselves again about the high places. The people still sacrifice and burn incense on the high places. He built the upper gate in the house of the Lord. Okay, so there was construction that was going on down south. They still sacrifice, though, in the high places. He built the upper gate of the house of the Lord. Now the rest of the acts of Jotham and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? In those days, Yahweh began to send Rezin, king of Syria, and Pekah, the son of Remaliah, against Judah. Funny how verse 37 says, in those days, the Lord. So the Lord began to cut down Judah. So Jotham rested with his fathers, was buried in the city of David. Then Ahaz, his son, reigned in his place. And that's all the information